Hey, how's it going? This is Tom Burkhardt from Car Revs Daily in the 2015 Fiat 500X Trekking. I'm going out for a quick road test review because this car is awesome. It's great. It's great. That was part throttle. Okay, so 2016 Fiat 500X is all new for this year and comes to us from Italy as a compact crossover. We got 4 doors here and a really roomy cabin, actually, with some interesting surfaces. 5-inch touchscreen control there. That's Uconnect 5 is what they call that, and a variety of great tech integration. Just a really good car overall. So let's start with the price of the car and then get into its performance a little bit and wrap it up with availability and the trim levels. All right, so Fiat 500X is available from a price of exactly $20,000 is the base, and that is for the 500X Pop. So that's the cheapest trim level. And it's good to note at this point that the 500X comes in 2 varieties. One of it is just sort of a lower and more city-friendly, like a mini 5-door, and then this Trekking is what they call it, is sort of like the off-road variant, and it has a little more body cladding and a little higher ground clearance and just some chunkier finishes to the grille and details like that. It's pretty convincing. This thing is like a really, really great crossover. Even considering that I have just recently gotten out of the 2016 Jeep Renegade Trailhawk, which is this car's immediate cousin. So it's really interesting to get in the Fiat and feel how special it feels. Like it just is really, really nice. From 23.7 or whatever we said up to 25.7 as delivered, with just one option, the safety group and then the navigation upgrade. This car feels like significantly better value somehow than the Renegade, which came in at like $28,000. And it's not just that difference in price, because this is a front-wheel drive model. With all-wheel drive, we would bump up to the 27 ballpark. But it's really just like about the Fiat feels sort of special and fun and playful and frisky, and where the Renegade and feels more like highway tuned, whereas the Renegade is obviously the Trailhawk version that I was driving is very focused on being able to go off road and have sort of like locking all-wheel drive systems and a real parking, or I guess not an electronic parking brake like this one. The Renegade feels very holistically designed in terms of being the only compact crossover that can go off-road. And on the flip side of that equation is it's let Fiat really focus on having sort of like the BMW of the range, in the really fun to drive, street focused, I guess just like urban hero is what I don't know, something for buyers in this market to consider. It really is very, very different than the Jeep. The drive experience is totally different. So let's touch on that in a second. But this segment in itself, the compact crossover market, is of course exploding for 2016 and 2015. You have the new Honda HR-V, the newest entry to the segment, which is like a mini CR-V, as well as the Chevrolet Trax, Buick Encore, Nissan Juke, the Jeep Renegade, of course. I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch. I mean, there are a ton of compact crossovers that, if they haven't hit the market, are coming soon from Toyota and a bunch of other guys. So this segment is, and the reason that everyone's coming in and joining is because it really addresses a lot of buyer needs. The cars are like pretty cool. They look a lot more expensive than they are, and they're not depressing to ride in or drive like a lot of compacts. Which, the compact sedan sort of sitting low these days, you're just always very aware that you're in like a dirt cheap car. Whereas for some reason with the SUV ride height, it gives a much better sense of a little more premium appeal, even if that isn't reflected in the price. So with or without all-wheel drive, the other advantage is that these compact SUVs get really, really good fuel economy. And this one is no exception. This 500X runs the up-level 2.4-liter multi-air 4-cylinder, and that makes 80 horsepower, makes 180 horsepower versus the around 140 that the base turbo engine delivers, which is a 1.4. Did I say it was a 1.6? But anyway, so that one's, the base engine is a turbo and but has much less power than this 2.4 liter. And your transmission and drive options, you have front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, of course, and then 6-speed manual transmission or this 9-speed automatic that we're in right now, which is really, really cool. It's the drive experience of this car is so different than the Renegade. It's freaky that they are such similar vehicles underneath the skin. But what we have in the 500X that the Renegade lacks is a sport mode. So we have drive modes here with just normal, automatic, like adaptive, you could call it, and then traction plus, which is for like snowy or wet weather, and then the sport mode. So we're in sport right now, and we've got the gauges between the main central like mid cluster displaying a boost gauge, which is really fun. Or it's like I guess it's a power gauge, percent of power that we have. I'm not sure if you can see it, but so like right there it goes to 100%. You know, when it's giving all the power it can, and then flash goes back to zooms all around. It's sort of like the Rolls-Royce thing, except theirs is like inverted where they do power remaining. But it is fun. It's fun to see it spike, and if this were a turbo, it would be a good boost indicator. But this is just a regular gasoline engine with a special like multi-air, is like a special kind of valve event timing. You know, a special way to have the like the fuel and air processed by the engine versus having like a turbo, as many of these small cars do. The advantage of the multi-air 2, as I call this, is great fuel efficiency, and which is true. I mean, it definitely proves it. This car does really, really well. In my hands, it's gotten like 29 plus miles per gallon, and that's great for a vehicle that's this comfortable and feels sort of this grown up and family friendly. Big back seat, but also you know, four big doors, pretty respectable sized trunk, and no sense of sort of a compact cabin that you might expect. If you looked at the 500X and the Renegade side by side, the Renegade is so much boxier in the glass house that you might think it would be much more cramped inside the 500X, but that really is not the case. It's plenty roomy in here, and the different dashboard design in the Fiat is actually like it's significantly more premium than the Jeep, despite the Jeep, you know, being really fun and fit for purpose with its hardy plastics. This one is much more cosmopolitan. So in sport mode right now, we've got, you know, some really strong shift action there, good power feel. It's with 180 horsepower. This engine is ready to go, and the transmission makes the most of that power. But there are times when you're like, come on, you know, and you want it to have more oomph, like any compact crossover. And yeah, I mean, that's completely par for the course, except for like maybe the Juke Nismo. But all of them are pretty relaxed in terms of their full throttle delivery. Where the 500X really scores huge points for me, in addition to its sport mode that makes the engine significantly more playful and more responsive to throttle and the transmission more active. What really nails it for me is the steering, which is flawless, you know, perfectly like Euro heavy, dead ahead, just is so stable, and it gets better. And we're at like 50 miles an hour now, but it keeps getting better and better as you pick up more speed, which is a huge asset for these compact crossovers because they usually have like god-awful steering. So that was second gear. So we do have like an auto stick control here. It's like the counterintuitive FCA layout where I guess it's more like gravitational. So when you're slowing down, you push forward to downshift, whereas pull to upshift, but it's backwards versus what everybody else does. So it really shifts. I mean, it'll really shift pretty quickly when it's in these manual modes, particularly those downshifts, which is a huge asset for this price, from $25,000 to $27,000 for the 500X. To be able to do that is really, really good. But overall, what's going to win the day, of course, besides exterior style, joie de vivre, and the Fiat, you know, brand and all that stuff, what's really going to make this 500X an awesome car for thousands and thousands of people is that it drives like just like it wants to go 120 down the Autobahn. Not in terms of like outright speed, mind you, but just in how planted and confidence-inspiring it feels. Even with this mid-spec trekking level, which is on 17-inch wheels versus the 18-inch wheels on the top two trims, I believe. So a little less grip there, but it still feels very, very dynamic and very cool. I like the car a lot. I have to start. I was thinking earlier while I was getting it washed, like I have to start recommending this car to people. I have a couple friends who I can think of who have 500s in particular, who I think this would be an awesome way to get much more space, much more confidence inspiring, freeway pace, and you know, just as a next car, a step up from a little two-door vehicle. So this thing is definitely eminently recommendable. 2016 Fiat 500X comes in at such a great price, and with such a fantastic cabin and drive experience. I'm really sold. I'm sold. It's gonna do really, really well in the market, and I'm gonna be a big cheerleader for it. So what would we like? What's, you know? But is it all like awesome? Is it great? So, well, you know, kind of, no. So the nose of the 500X is really cool, and actually has projector beam headlights and a confident style, particularly with those lights on. It looks good, you know, premium and pretty expensive, even though they're just like halogen bulbs for the projectors. But there are no LEDs up front whatsoever. So there's like the daytime running light is like just a parking light that sort of comes on, and the fog lights are cool looking. They're square or like rectangular, I guess, but they are just like halogens again. So it's like very yellow in front versus like a loaded mini 5-door. Oh god, this stuff's awful. They're like doing road construction. So it needs style up front. It needs LEDs, or maybe some HIDs, but you could take care of that in the aftermarket pretty easily. And besides that, I really can't think of the style is really good. The tail has some good depth to those sort of squircle, tall rectangle tail lamps. It looks good. It has its own personality and is less angle sensitive than the 500, and it has a more handsome face overall. That 500, you know, despite as like a remake, you know, they made it look like the original 500, you know, but it's just kind of like it's not an instantly gorgeous face. So this one is more classically beautiful, and I think more handsome than some minis from this generation and the previous one that are sort of like that have some odd headlight shapes and stuff. I really like the way the 500X looks. I just wish we could, you know, really go premium in terms of like Euro cool LEDs. But besides that, I mean, as you can see from this cabin, very, very roomy, and promises and delivers an awesome drive experience. I might say I think it is the best compact crossover I've driven, certainly for under $26,000. So the 500X is available now, 5 trim levels, like 10 or 12 colors, and available all-wheel drive. I would love to drive this car in a stick shift. I think it would be even better like that than, or, you know, as good as the 9-speed automatic. All right, we'll see you guys later.